Okay, today I'm going to show you an application framework that I've built on top of CodeIgniter 3. Um, Again, it's not a CMS. You can certainly turn it into a CMS, but this is really just more of an application framework, maybe to get you, 50, 60, 70% of the way there. And then you, of course, can add on any specific modules or code that you need to. So we'll get started. What I did is actually made a little script that kind of binds up everything that you'll need. If you notice, it actually is only, it's pretty small, and I'll show you what you get with that. It's only 765K, so we'll actually go ahead and put it in this foobar directory here, which is actually this guy right here. And I've already set up a database, so there are no tables in it, but that's where the tables will be installed. So let's get started with that. Now this is an executable, so we'll go ahead and execute that. Uh, this is all local. No big deal if I'm showing you maybe the password and all. Um, Again, it's just all local for this example. Example.com. Oop, make sure I spell this right, or I won't be able to log in, right? Yep, that's what I want to use. And again, this is just local, so we're just gonna punch in some stuff. Now, again, when I install my web applications, I like to go below public, one below public, and put that in an application folder that I call app. So we'll go ahead and use the default. We'll let it do its thing here with Composer. It's actually going to download CodeIgniter and a few other libraries that I like to include with it. Again, it makes it real nice to be able to install the latest version of CodeIgniter or whatever version you want to install. And the same thing with all of the packages as well. So that way you don't actually have to manage those with that install. And again, that's why that install is so slow. I'm sorry, not slow, but small. Okay, so this is complete. It's installed everything into the app folder. So really, you can now get rid of this create if you want to. Probably a good idea not to leave it around on the server. And again, here's the, of course, public that will be seen here. So we go in here. Here's your public. Whoops, I should go back one. I have to refresh this so it knows which folder to look in. So here is actually the public. So again, it's using the CodeIgniter router, and actually here's your CodeIgniter application folder. Now this is actually pretty empty. Here's your standard config. I like to put all the config in application. A few controllers that you can extend, plus the default one that you're seeing right here. Helpers is empty, language is pretty empty, libraries. I don't install any of those in the application folder. I leave that pretty empty for the person that's going to actually create the application. Again, I call this a framework, not necessarily a full bore CMS or anything like that. Here are some of the views. Now here's the main view here, which is actually the body, and actually this will support templates, so it's actually rapid putting the body inside of this template. And of course, the CodeIgniter 3.0 errors are out here as well. Like I said, I do install this with Composer, install CodeIgniter with the Composer. We'll come back to modules in a second. Here's our public directory, again, our router, an actual orange theme. So there's some stuff out here for the actual framework theme for the back end. The rest of these are pretty empty. This is where most of the stuff would go, and this makes it easy just to drop this in if you need to update it or whatever. But there is a way to do that as well through the back end. I move everything that needs to be, that could be deleted, for instance, like caches, any kind of emails that need to go out, logs, sessions, so on and so forth. If you're using file-based sessions, all inside the var directory. And then finally, our Composer vendor folder. So let's go ahead and jump in here. Again, not much you see here on the front end, but this is what you get on the back end. Actually, here's the tables that it creates too. Just some real simple tables in there. So we used Dr. Pepper at example.com. Password. Hopefully, I typed it in right. Oh, no, I didn't. There we go. That should be it. Okay, so now here we are. This is the back end to the application. Just kind of give you a brief overview of what you get. You get, of course, some menus. There's some default ones are automatically in there, and as the modules are inserted, they can be placed under those menus. Menu bar just gives you a quick and easy way to manage those menus. For some reason, if you want to put models here, maybe settings here because you're using it a lot more, you could certainly do that. There's nothing under content, so it doesn't show up. So maybe we just even put that down here, and so on and so forth. With some of these, makes it really easy to edit the menu and change those and whatnot, whatever you need on there. These are default ones that are built in, so you can't even edit those. But some of these other ones, you can certainly do that too. So go ahead and so now we have our new menus. Settings is a great place to manage settings. Now with normal CodeIgniter, that's normally done in the config file. So all of the config files, you kind of have to go into the config file to edit things. Using settings and the functions that I've provided, it allows you to actually go in and pull those things directly out of not only the config file, maybe an environmental one, but also out of the database as well. So it makes it so that you can edit those a lot easier. So if, for instance, you have one in here called www images, where are those at? Go ahead and add that to the front end. And now you'll see paths, and it automatically inserted this, and now we can edit this. So you don't necessarily have to go into the file to edit that. You can just do that right here. Delete it, whatever you need to do. If you delete it from here, of course, it'll automatically get that out of the file system version of that. But it allows you to override those and change those real easy without jumping into the CodeIgniter config files. Finally, the biggest, now this one's pretty empty right now. I'll show you the other install I have of this with some of the other modules I'm working on. But this is really where the meat and potatoes is of this framework. The orange framework that you're actually seeing right here actually installs as a module. And then it's kind of like a CodeIgniter package with some additional stuff put in there for the routing, so that way you can have controllers in the modules as well. You just drop the module in, can run through its install, put some menus in, put some settings in, and put some controllers really in, and it allows you to jump to anything that's in that package. Real fast and simple way to upload that, so you can just drag and drop on there. It'll upload those to the system. We'll do that in a different video. And then finally, the user system. I made this, pretty simple. We certainly made it a lot more advanced. I had another application I was working on in CodeIgniter that I made really advanced, all kinds of URIs to control what you had access to. But quite honestly, depending on the size of your program, that was way overkill. So this makes it real easy. Again, you can see that default admin user and no assigned user. From those, you can actually set up roles. So here's somebody with full access, someone with no access. And then here are all the accesses that are currently in the system. Now, by default, these are the ones that are in the system. You can certainly add your own manually right here. Or again, the modules can actually install these dynamically. So if you install a module, it might actually add 4 or 5 different additional accesses on here. Now, a quick note about the access in this framework. I made it so that it is inclusive, so that if you give someone the access, then they can do that action. It's not exclusive. So if check them off and say, oh, they can't do this action, then in effect, when you're an admin, you have all access. So by putting something in here that you expect to be exclusive, in effect, you're actually telling the admin that he can't do it. So that's not a good thing. So it's important that if you're going to use this system, to remember that it's inclusive, not exclusive. Finally, right here, it tells you who you're logged in as, whatever email used, and whatever your access role is. And you can jump back to that, public home page. And then, of course, finally log out.